Got some granola bars if you get hungry out on the course. Some provisions. Got some lip balm in case you get chapped lips out there. It's windy out on the course. Good morning, Father James Misko coming back at you with Coffee with the Callers. I'm here with
Father Doug Jeffers.
And we are on our school playground getting ready for the St. Louis Cougar Classic Golf Tournament. Today, Padre, is the
big event.
Yeah, it's the tournament for St. Louis School, and I thought it might be interesting for us to talk a little bit about golf and the spiritual implications of playing golf. I think golf is a very spiritual game.
Sport, a spiritual exercise.
Look, I'm telling you, when you're on a golf course, you're going to have some bad shots. Yeah. And so if you're not a centered person,
some more than others.
If you're not, exactly, that's true. If you're not focused on what you're doing out there, you're going to be all over the map. When you get into a golf round, you've got to immediately take on a contemplative disposition so that you're not all over the map. So I've always thought to myself as I play golf that it's a wonderful time to pray. It's a wonderful time to sort of be out in God's nature. But in addition to that, one of the most interesting things that I've experienced as a golfer is that when you hit a golf ball, if your golf club is off just a little bit in one direction or another direction, it has massive results.
Like
you might slice the ball, and it might be the smallest turn of your angle of the club, which makes a 100-yard difference in the flight of the ball.
Little in the beginning, big in the end.
So I've always thought that that's what the spiritual life is like. Sometimes we think to ourselves, oh man, I got to make some huge change in my spiritual life in order for me to get right with God. That's not true. Sometimes all you need is a small change, an extra 5 minutes of prayer a day, maybe an extra reading of Scripture a day. It may take just 2 or 3 minutes. And that small change, like the change of the angle of the 7-iron, might actually make a huge difference in your spiritual life. So I've always thought that golf has spiritual implications, but you were talking to me about you feel the same way.
Well, yeah, you know, golf is a very habitual thing, right? You got to get your habit down, and it's got to become almost second nature to you the way you hit the ball. And I've heard it said that when you're starting to play golf, I don't play golf myself. You're
not a golf devotee.
I just go by what other people tell me.
Sure.
But when you're learning how to swing, it's important that you learn how to swing right in the first place, because if you get the wrong form, the wrong technique, then you're going to have a bad habit, and it's going to be hard to get that undone. So just like you know, a little thing can make a big difference in your spiritual life for good. You know, pray. And even if you're just praying for 5 or 10 minutes a day, but you're doing it every day and you're building up a habit, it can also be the case that we let kind of little vices and things like that creep into our life, and they don't seem like such a big thing, but they also form habits, you know, and then and they can cause big problems down the line.
Yeah, like my driver is the problem.
Yeah.
I take that club head outside too much, and I bring it back in, and it creates a slice, and so that's the vice that often occurs in my drive. So you're saying that golf has this curious connection to the virtues and the vices.
You know, you could talk about a similar thing would be like, you know, I was just a little bit rude to that person, and it's just a small thing, not a big deal, but the problem is next time that's going to make it a little bit easier for me to be a little bit rude to that person and a little bit ruder. And if I don't, you know, watch it, then before you know it, I've got a bigger problem.
Yeah, so like when you're playing golf and you get a glitch in your swing because of a bad habit, you shoot in the 90s. In your spiritual life, when you get a glitch in your character, you got a bad habit, and you're starting to create chaos rather than holy order in your life. So we're very excited about the golf tournament today, and hopefully you can think to yourself a little bit about how the golf swing has something to do with your spiritual life. So Padre, I thought maybe we would hit a couple of balls.
Okay, let's do it. I don't know what I'm doing here.
Okay, so show me how you're going to swing the golf club. Bend your knees.
Okay, you got to bend the knees a little bit.
Get athletic.
Close
this toe in a little bit.
All right.
And just straight back and straight down.
And straight down.
That's pretty good. All right, so watch what I do here.
All right, let's see
straight back and straight down. See, I got my knees bent, Padre. I'm trying to keep the swing centered.
Okay.
Like a spiritual life, trying to keep it simple. Like my spiritual life. Just straight back.
Anything fancy here.
Just straight back and straight down. Let's see how I do. You're going to retake that. All right, straight back and straight down. Just straight back and straight down. So that's what I want you to try, Padre. Come over here. Straight back and straight down. Oh, it's not bad. That's pretty good, Padre. Try that again right there.
All right.
Okay, well, you got one more shot here, Padre. You're doing pretty good. You had a vice in that swing right there.
What
now
was
you
that?
want,
What was
well,
the vice?
was that you pushed it to the right.
Oh, yeah.
Now you want to have a virtue. Straight
Okay.
back and straight out. Keep
Straight
it
back.
simple. Keep it
Straight
simple.
back.
I don't know.
What?
Hopefully he's going to get this straightened out by the 1 o'clock tee time for the Cougar Classic. Thanks for joining us with Coffee with the Callers. Let's give it one more shot here. So, you know, the other thing I think is interesting about golf, Padre, is that it's like a pilgrimage. That, you know, walking a golf course is like a journey. And that's like the spiritual life too.
Through 18 holes.
Yeah, that you go hole to hole. It's almost like, you know, signpost to signpost in the spiritual life, where you might have one bad shot and then you end up having 5 great shots. And that's what the spiritual life is like. Sometimes things don't work the way you want them to work and you even make mistakes. But then there's always opportunity to recover and do something virtuous, do something good. So that's, I've often thought about that on the golf course.